Welcome to the DSRX podcast, a raw exploration of regenerative relating through vulnerable shares, practical tools, and ecstatic experiments from our own long-term love story. Beyond traditional dominance and submission, DSRX names a new terrain, devotion and service, that include the cycles of RX as a central medicine for integrating deeper power exchange and erotic connection. Here we embrace the polarity paradox, structure with softness, discipline with holistic surrender, power with play, and conscious leadership with love, where sex, desire, kink, and the taboo ignite the crucible that turns heat into healing. Because intimate partnership is the deepest initiator, the most sacred undoing. For more about DSRX, find links in the show notes, and thank you for being with us.
This is Eric. Welcome back to DSRX. Today we close season 6 with a phrase you've heard most likely in business: underpromise and overdeliver. I'm telling you, this is the key to trust, to polarity, to leadership, to sex, and to life. The opposite, overpromise and underdeliver, that's fantasy, that's people-pleasing, that's immaturity. And guess what? That's what most men do. They say yes too much. They puff up their capacity. They exaggerate their skill. They romanticize money they don't have. And they take waves they can't ride. And that's when we collapse. I have a good fantasy story that I think many of you who've listened to this podcast might remember. Last year on this podcast, I told you how I broke my shoulder surfing in Hawaii. I paddled out at a shore break I hadn't touched in 20 years, the same spot I used to charge as a teenager. In my mind, I was still that kid. In my fantasy, I was still strong enough. Rachel was there watching. I wanted to show her how awesome I was. So I overpromised to myself. Then I faced reality. You know, the body and sports are a great place where we see this play out. I underdelivered to reality. I got slammed. This wasn't just a physical injury, though. It actually was transformative for me. You know, it was a spiritual teaching. I had to face and really sit with that little boy in me, sit with the teenager, sit with all the different parts of me who still believed and wanted the fantasy, and that the fantasy was enough. And when you overpromise to your woman, it's no different than getting slammed on the beach. It lands the same way. Like my shoulder on that shore break, it shatters trust. The same thing happened to me when I was a boy skiing. I told the instructor, hey, I'm intermediate. I overpromised to my level. I was by no means an intermediate. I'd gone skiing once before and it was terrible. I just fell off the chairlift in front of everyone, just rolled down. It was terribly embarrassing. And I couldn't even get down the hill. They had to carry me down the hill. And they took me back down to the bunny slope where my sister was, who knew that we were beginners. We were the same level. And this is what most men do. This is what I've done so much of my life and in relationships. I've claimed capacity that I don't have. And it happens in subtle ways, in small ways. And there's nothing like reality waking you up. There's nothing like what is to wake you up into that. So often I and men say yes to timelines that we can't keep. We puff up ourselves instead of admitting where we are and just sitting with what is. And obviously, eventually she sees this and she loses trust. That's what happens. And there's another mistake with this, not just with overpromising and underdelivering. It's also overpromising and then overdelivering. This is like a people pleaser move where you're going to inflate yourself to look good, overdo it, and then over hustle to carry it out. And you're scrambling. You're just trying to please now and then please later and please. And It leads to burnout. But underneath, there's a lot of insecurity that's really grounded in that. It's a nervous system that can't sit in reality at its core. It's powerful when you can be with what is. Whatever it is, there's great power in what is. By overworking, you're like a boy trying to earn your love through your performance. And your woman feels that. She's feeling you trying to get something that you don't have. She sees and feels that. It's not relaxing to her. It's not soothing to her. It actually makes her body tense. Because what you're telling her, you're saying, this man's not in reality. He's not cool with what is. He needs to prove himself to me. This is fantasy. But there is a time and a place for fantasy. I love fantasy. Rachel and I have an erotic life full of fantasy. We bring kink and wildness and imagination into sex all the time. We teach our clients to do this. And we're going to talk more about this and share more about this in future episodes. But that fantasy that's great in the bedroom belongs there. It's just a time and a place for that. But if that fantasy is in your personal life and your life is not built on a foundation, then we've got problems. So if fantasy belongs in the art, it belongs in play, it belongs in the daydream, it belongs in the bedroom. But fantasy doesn't belong in hosting or in leadership or in money or in time or in your body. In those places, that fantasy becomes poison. A fantasy about sex in the right time, in the right place, that can really open her up. But a fantasy about your rent, that collapses her. A fantasy in the bed is ripe. But a fantasy in you being able to host her with her nervous systems when she's upset, and you being able to be with what is, and you're not able to do that, that creates fear. She doesn't want you funding a life of fantasy. She wants you to fund reality. She wants you building a life. I've been there. Here's the harsh truth. Most women, they live constant lives of disappointment. Promises dropped. Expectations vanished. These boy-like hosts who puff and collapse. And then the women come around and soothe them with their maternal nature, and they forgive and they coddle and they keep the peace. So many women are just waiting patiently while men are peacocking and proving and unreliable again and again. But guess what? That patience that you women have, you've kept men small. You've kept men unreliable. You've kept men boyish. So, me, as a man, I want you women. It's not enough to just say, this upsets me. You got to show him. Feel it fully. Just like I said in the previous episode, feel it fully, out loud. Let it come out. Let it be raw. Your wellness depends on him. Women, you need him. Let him know that you need him. But he's got to step into reality. It's a reality check. You got to demand his effort. Be needy for his discipline. Up your standards for his groundedness. Make him know what an impact he has on you with his word. And give him messages when he succeeds of your pleasure, and give him messages of your pain when he falls flat. Don't let him off the fucking hook. He's got to feel it. When you underpromise and you overdeliver, it regulates the nervous system. It's consistency. It's instant trust. The whole body relaxes. That's regulation. That's what women want to feel in you. They want to feel that your word lands earlier, it's steadier, it's stronger than expected. It lets her nervous system rest. All the little things matter. Every part of your word matters. This is what builds long-term arousal. Underpromising and over-delivering is arousing. The short-term sting of a no creates the long-term safety of a yes. When I tell Rachel in her ever-present wanting, no, we can't do that today. No, not right now. No, we're not ready for that now. She feels and receives that as arousing. It stings for a moment, but it is a long-term turn on. It's that she knows I'm rooted. I'm not rooted in whatever she wants in the moment. I'm rooted in where we're going. I'm rooted in my values and my discipline. She knows that I'm leading us. She knows that I'm leading us with discipline. And this is when her body melts. This is when she erupts and is in a smile. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't want a fantasy. She wants a reality. She wants me in my no, so she can be in her yes. We talked about that before. Man needs to be in his no, so she can be in her yes. She wants to feel me take the sting of short-term reality. She wants me to be the reality check. She wants me to be the one who builds the safety so that we can get to a long-term yes. And when you underpromise and you overdeliver, this is discipline. And this makes discipline sexy because restraint is sexy. Restraint is hot. Refusal is hot. Boundaries are hot. When I say no to waves I can't ride, when I say no to a rent I cannot afford, when I say no to a trip on credit, that's not me just saying no to her. That's me saying yes to reality. That's me saying yes to her deeper, long-term turn on. When I can deny myself for the sake of her long-term safety, that's devotion. That's discipline. That's service. That's trustworthiness. That's what creates long-term true arousal. This puts you moving into reality. Reality is the only place leadership exists. You can't lead from fantasy. You can't host from a puff. You only lead from the reality of what is. It's interesting, when I was in Maine, I lived in Maine for quite a number of years. I noticed there was a culture of underpromising and overdelivery. I found it very healing, very grounding. It was a great place for me to learn this. People there don't fake nice. They say less and they show up more. They are trusted by their actions. And it was a big contrast to other places that I've lived that will remain nameless, where men were puffing up in their friendliness and charm. At the end of the day, they were a flake. It was bullshit. There's a difference between being in your nice and your fantasy and being in reality. So how do we show up in reality better? You got to tell the truth. Tell the truth in the moment, even if it stings. Don't inflate timelines or skills or money. If you're going to be late, say you will be late. If you don't know, say you don't know. Say less fluff. Say less stuff. Do more, say less. Do more to be where you are. Be in the present moment with what is. And don't collapse in that. Don't defend it. Don't rationalize it. Don't explain it. Just be in what is. Say the truth with what is. The second thing, delay gratification. Easy now, hard later. Or hard now, easy later. Say no to life on credit. Get rid of your credit cards. Say no to extra expense today. You can say yes later with strength because you said no today. I'm all for fantasies. You just want grounded fantasies, fantasies that are built upon reality. Daydreams are beautiful. The fantasies are beautiful, and the erotic and the artistic and the playful, but they only become reality through the discipline, through the grounding, through being grounded in reality. So it's a step-by-step, knowing sequencing, knowing order of events, respecting the craft of the material in your life, respecting old school values. It's repetition, it's practice. Earn it before you spend it. Train it before you surf it. Be in better shape before you do it. It's basic shit. And it happens through doing small things. It's practice, and every detail matters. So if you tell your partner, I'm going to be home at 6, be there at 5:45. If you say you're going to do 10 reps, do 12. If you say you're going to call it tomorrow, call it today. You underpromise and overdeliver. You make it a habit. You start depositing into a bank where she starts trusting you, and you trust yourself, and you start eradicating any self-shaming. You're okay with humility. You don't want a woman who wants you in your fantasy or your bullshit. She's in love with you. She's not in love with the fantasy. If you slip up, honor it. If you make a mistake, tell the truth. Do better next time. You start seeing self-discipline as sexy. Start seeing restraint not as punishment, but as a frame for turn on. Start seeing that when you're not spending above your means, that it's doing something for the later. The cool thing for me to have done on that beach would have been for me to say, as much as I want to surf this wicked break and this awesome thing, let's sit here together and watch it. And let me tell you about some of the days in the past. And let's just be here in this and talk about how much I want to do this in the future, or just be present with it. Let her feel your peace with just your own desire. And it's okay to just own it. And you can own your certainty in that. Because when you ground it in your discipline, she can be more open. It makes her body open. It all goes back to the same things, right? Discipline in the body, discipline in the life, and allowing yourself to not overpromise, not to underdeliver. That's a fantasy that's not grounded in reality. That's in a pleasing place. These are all boyhood energy. So start underpromising and then over-delivering. That's what it is to be a man. That's leadership. That's her trusting and mature masculine energy. Women want reality, grounded reality. A feminine woman wants to feel a man who can face reality and hold and stay steady and stay grounded in what is. So you get an opportunity every day to hold that so she can surrender into what is, so that both of you can move towards what's possible. So make it your ethic. Underpromise, overdeliver with your word, with your money, with your body, with your leadership, with time. That's the discipline of what is. Start loving what is. So thank you all for season 6. Thank you as always to the rhythm that's been here. And just like between the seasons before, we're going to have an RX moment, a pause, a reset. We're going to be taking this holiday season to rest, to reflect, to let the season settle in. In the meantime, stay with us. Follow us on Instagram. Be with us here at DSRX Studio. I look forward to next season. I'm going to have Rachel here a lot more. There's going to be some other guests coming along. So please keep your eyes on our email list, because we've got some exciting announcements coming up. Quite the invitation specifically about season 7. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us through this season. Appreciate you all. Thank you for listening, for leaning in, for practicing with us. And as always, love your feedback, love your comments, your requests. Thanks for all of it. So don't forget to DM us, email us, let us know what's alive in you as we move forward. Thank you. Until then, stay steady. Stay open. Keep practicing the craft with an open heart. Love you all. Thank you.